This distillery does the world's most expensive gin at around €3,000 for one bottle. They were the first distillery to make gin with ants together with the world-famous 3-star Michelin restaurant Noma in Copenhagen, and their master distiller has just passed the most difficult wine exam in the world. This distillery and their gin is anything but ordinary. Let's meet him, his wife, their dog, and their gin project. Hi guys, and welcome to High on Gin. Over the years, I've heard many things about Cambridge Distillery, but it has never been available here in Denmark until now, so I thought it was time to check them out. But to be very honest, I was a bit skeptic. Was this project too over the top, or was it too bling bling? I mean, everybody can make the world's most expensive gin. I mean, it's just a matter of setting the price high enough or use extreme botanicals in the gin. I mean, that in itself doesn't make a good gin. But guys, this is anything but that. It has nothing to do with being bling or do cheap marketing stunt. This project here is one of the most amazing, crazy, and nerdy projects set in the best possible way I have ever encountered, and I absolutely love it. The people and the processes and the results are so uber cool in my mind. So I have decided not just to do one video about them, but more videos. So more to come later on. But today I will start with some fun background info about Cambridge Distillery and then test out this bad boy here, the Cambridge Dry Gin, a tribute to the English country gardens. And it's also their most affordable gin. So I thought we should start here. The distillery is run by William and Lucy Lowe, husband and wife and partners in crime when it comes to gin. They launched their little distillery officially on April 7th, 2012, the day of the very famous Cambridge boat race. And according to them, they probably had the world's smallest distillery at that time, as they did the distillation in their living room. But what started as an occupational hobby quickly changed into something very, very serious as they hit something very unique and really got many people's attention. And they started winning countless numbers of awards and titles. And one of the things that the distillery has been talking about for the last couple of months and is of course very proud of is the fact that William is today the world's first master distiller to become a master of wine. And if you, as I was, is like, okay, so is that a good thing? Let me just try to give you some crazy facts that I found about this title here. You see, it is by far the most difficult wine exam to pass in the entire world. Before you even get started on this education, you must have an advanced wine education. And it takes at least 3 years to pass, but more likely 5 to 6 years. Sometimes it takes even up to 10 years if you pass at all. And you have to pay around 11,000 British pounds in fee every year to attend. The study is divided into 3 phases. Firstly, a foundational year where you have to study everything there is to know about the industry or the techniques and the processes and so on and so forth. And after the first year, you are given a first-year assessment. And here you are either asked to repeat the first phase, or you may go on to the second phase. Some are even asked to pause the education to gain much more experience before they proceed with this education. And then, ladies and gentlemen, starts the dreaded second phase, where you must pass 5 theory exams and 3 practical exams. And these practical exams, they are crazy. The 3 exams are conducted over 3 half days, where the students in a timed examination must blind test 12 wines at each exam. Students may be asked to answer questions relating to each wine's origin, vintage, market position, the process of making the gin, and so on and so on. And just think about that for a second. They can take any wine from anywhere around the world, and you will have to be able to answer questions, these type of questions. And just from what you can see and smell and taste. And we're talking about 32 bottles of wine. I mean, oh my God. And then comes the third phase where you are asked to do a in-depth research paper that is anywhere between 6,000 and 10,000 words, and that has to be accepted by a jury of Master of Wine people. You see, more people have been to space, and I'm not talking about these new tourists. More people have been to space than completing this challenge. I mean, wow. I mean, must be like getting a Nobel Prize of wine, I guess. And if you think, but I mean, this is gin and not wine, William actually studied wine to improve his understanding of spirits. And in my mind, he just now has this very universal language of, being able to taste and smell and sensing and evaluating and deciphering and combining. That is so obvious when you taste his gins. The balance and the flavors, I mean, the lightness, it's simply out of this world. The first gin, as I said, we're going to take a look at is this one here, the Cambridge Dry Gin. And the botanicals used in this gin, they're very common, like juniper and angelica, two very common and classic botanicals. And then there is rosemary in it. And then we find some very delicate botanicals like lemon verbena, black currant leaf, fresh basil, and rose petals. These gin botanicals are foraged locally when walking their distillery dog Darcy, or homegrown in their own garden. And I guess Darcy plays an important part when foraging these botanicals because it's put here on the little label. Kind of cute, I think. But you see, in a normal distillation process, these very delicate botanicals will have a hard time surviving the higher temperature in a traditional pot still, even if they are put in the vapor basket. And a way to handle these very fine, delicate botanicals is to use vacuum distillation. Common for all Cambridge gins are that the botanicals are distilled separately and with individually distillation settings. Cambridge Distillery was founded on the principle that no two botanicals are identical and therefore they need to be treated individually. And the drawback, of course, by using vacuum distillation process is that you can't do large batches. At Cambridge Distillery, each botanicals is, as I said, done individually, but in volumes less than 2 liters. Let's smell it. You see, this gin, it really has everything I love about gin. It is so delicate. It's not dominant, but it's still very defined. It has this very sophisticated citrus note from the lemon verbena, together with these light and floral notes. I get this very amazing base of juniper and angelica. I mean, it smells so good. I've been smelling to this again and again and again. The citrus flavors, when you taste it, becomes more dominant, almost spicy. And there's this slight earthiness and herbaceous note to it that comes into place, especially in the aftertaste. This is so simple and still so complex. It is both a very masculine gin, like the bottle is heavy and square, and it's a very feminine gin, like the label is very fine and detailed. And when you think gin with botanicals like basil and rose petal, it often becomes way too much. But this is not a basil gin or a rose petal gin. It is an outstanding gin. And the key word here is actually gin. And the result is just a symphony of ingenious flavors that adds up to a very elegant and a larger gin, so to speak. I think you should serve this with an Indian tonic and lots of ice and a fresh sprig of mint. And I guarantee you will have one of the finest gin and tonics that you can imagine, a very classic gin and tonic. And when I had this gin and tonic with my wife, we looked at each other and said, "Damn, this is a good gin and tonic." And here's a little tip to you if you're having issues with these glass stoppers here. What you do is you simply just press them on the side and then you can open them very easily. It can be very hard to just pull it up like that. So guys, there you have it. My warmest recommendation to this very brilliant gin from a very amazing distillery. If you want to treat yourself, I think that you should try this one out. These guys, they are all about the pursuit of quality. They only do gin if they think that they can greatly improve the gin or do something that has never been done before. And that, I guess, is their promise to us. And here they have made one hell of an exquisite, top-of-the-line, sophisticated classic gin. And I really love it. And I can't wait to show you the other gins that they have made. Until next time.